I'd like to introduce Dave from Dave's Train Night. He's got a wonderful YouTube page, which you're going to see a link in the comments section below. And he has so graciously agreed to share with us a little bit about his amazing collection and tell us a little bit about how he got into collecting, about his Dave's Train Nights at his house, and then show us around a little bit. So be ready for an incredible experience here as we dive in. So Dave, thank you so much again for your hospitality. And for starters, how did you get into this hobby? What prompted it, and kind of take us from there to where you are now, if you would, please.
Okay. Well, my first train set was an HO clockwork set, which is kind of unusual. I had some family that came back from Germany when I was about 4 years old, and they brought this wind-up HO, and made by a company called Fleshman. Okay. Anyway, I really enjoyed that. My dad bought a piece of plywood down at the lumber yard, and it was just a circle, nailed it on the board, and I had a great time. But I really wanted an electric train. And when I was about 8 years old, my parents bought me a Lionel for Christmas. And so my focus from then on was post-war O-gauge until sometime in high school, and I got back into HO and all the way through college. And when the kids came along, that's when I got back into three-rail O-gauge again. Okay. And one thing leads to another. I got deep into marks. I got deep into pre-war flyer. And as I was buying collections and selling things, I started picking up standard gauge, started picking up Ives, and then I finally started doing some post-war American Flyer, which is your love. And wow, there's a lot of things to do in post-war American Flyer, and it's very different. And I can see the attraction to the 2-rail, and but I can see the attraction to the 3-rail. So why not have both?
Why not? Why not?
So here I am downstairs, and I've got 3-rail O-gauge, and I've got standard gauge, which is also 3-rail, and I've got HO 2-rail, and I just collect what I like, and I do a lot of repairs, and don't do a lot of repaints, but I do a few. And there's just so many aspects of the hobby that are fun, electrical, mechanical, sheet metal work, paint. It's all fun.
I've really enjoyed the coaling tower repair that you've done, and I'm sure we'll see that in a little while, but that fascinating. It's very inspiring to see, how you took basically something that was pretty beat up and made it functional again.
Yeah, it's a great accessory. I think even 3-rail guys would enjoy that accessory, and it's big enough that it fits in O-gauge as well. Okay,
great. Well, if you would, I see a shelf behind you with some amazing models on it. Could you just give us a nickel tour?
Sure. Why don't I flip the camera around?
Okay.
And I think I can get a better view. So across the room, above the love seat here, is mostly Dorfan and Lionel pre-war. And there's the Lionel Ives, kind of I'm trying to remember what you call that set. That was made in Lionel and Ives. I guess it's a transition set. And it was actually pulled by this little 259 up here, but I like it better with the 224. All of this is pre-war. There is some Dorfan also on the top. If you can see that little red locomotive up top, that's their number 51. And the take-apart engine, it's 2 castings that come apart with a couple pins. And there's what the passenger cars looked like, the caboose, and the crane car. And down below is a lot more American Lionel, and there's some nice cars in there.
I was going to say they're beautiful.
I do like tin plate.
Yeah.
You swing around. This is mostly marks. And I've got some 8-wheel 6-inch. I've got some 4-wheel 6-inch. And I do like the colors. I like the tin aspect of it. There's a little bit of modern marks in here, like this U.S. pipe car. That's a modern marks. It's 3/16. You could easily convert that to American Flyer, and it would fit right in.
Now, sorry to interrupt, but real quick,
Mhm.
when you say modern marks, does that mean marks is still being made now or not?
It's not, to my knowledge.
Okay.
Jim and Debbie Flynn created a company in the 80s, which was we always referred to as New Marks, and eventually the name changed to Ameritrains.
Okay.
And it was based on the original. See if I can find an original flat car, just to make a comparison. Let me come over here. Oh, there's a little Lego train that one of my grandsons made. So if you look at a flat car, this is a flat car from the 50s, maybe late 40s, probably the 50s, because it has plastic couplers. And you can see how that they're built almost identical. And the Flynn's came up with this design and with some new graphics.
Okay.
And it was a really fun thing to collect.
Yeah.
And they're not exact, and they weren't meant to be copies, but they are really fun, and they're compatible with other marks.
Nice. Wow. That's fantastic. Never knew that.
I really like the 6-inch marks, and it took a while to grow on me, but I kind of fell into it. This is a Mercury set that has some red passenger cars. There's a modern marks Pennsylvania locomotive. It's based on the Canadian Pacific design, and there's an original Canadian Pacific from the late 30s.
Okay.
The passenger car. There's a G-scale locomotive that's in here for servicing. Okay. It's kind of out of place, but I just put dynamic brakes on it, and had a hard time matching the color, but we finally got it right.
I also noticed a steam engine and parts in front of the G-scale.
Oh yeah, you might recognize a 302. That's a project, and I think there's actually 2 of them here.
Okay.
And there's a 671 steam turbine that's getting a new rear step, so I'm working on that too. There's a couple of harbor junctions getting revived. There's a really interesting 256 pre-war Lionel project that I've got. These are dual motored units, and they have this frame. This is the frame that goes under these orange locomotives. Okay. And they take 2 motors. Okay. So they're really good pullers, and I'll get that finished eventually. There's a standard gauge for size reference behind it. Wow. That's a number 380 Lionel. And just lots of projects and things.
So are these all projects that are for you personally, or are these for other folks?
These are all for me, except one of the harbor junctions belongs to a friend, and then that G scale belongs to a friend. But I've got more G scale. Don't worry.
Wow.
And more standard gauge. Standard gauge and G scale are pretty compatible in size, but not in gauge. One's AC and the other's DC.